Mouse TV, myself, Theo Kane. You know what time it is. It's Toy Talk time. You know what day it is. It's Toy Talk Tuesday. As always, I ask you people, you lot that watch this channel, to give me your discussion topics for the Toy Talk episodes. And today I've got one question that was kind of asked, the same question, by two different people. So first off, Nick over at nemastudios.com, he asked me, identifying the next vintage thing, what's going to be on people's hit list? And then also, Beastie Toys said, why do certain toy lines suddenly gain popularity and then skyrocket in price? So those to me are two very similar questions. Why do, all of a sudden, a toy that was not worth anything 10 years before, 5 years before, all of a sudden skyrockets? And then again, how do we identify the one that's going to be the next on people's hit list? And I think it all comes down to, like, people jumping on a hype train. That's one reason. The second reason is people buying everything that's already available and then wanting to see what the next thing is that they want to try and get a hold of. And I see this a lot with, especially with like the Masters of the Universe community. Now you get some Masters of the Universe people that are just die-hard Motu. That's it. That's all they fucks with is Masters of the Universe. And then you get other collectors, a lot of them, that have collected Masters of the Universe for a good few years. They're into it. They've had the toys, they've had the merch, and then they think, oh, I've got all the toys, I've got everything, I've got all the merch, what else is there out there? And they start looking at bootleg He-Man. So I'll get some close-ups of some bootleg He-Man figures, because I love knockoff He-Man figures. But first off, they want the Skeletor, the He-Man, the Trapjaw, and then they want the crazy Remco stuff, and then they want the Argentinian bootlegs and the Mexican bootlegs, and they go down the whole rabbit hole of bootlegs because it looks like a He-Man, feels like a He-Man, it's obviously inspired by He-Man, but it's different and it's weird and it's new. So knockoffs 10 years ago, nobody wanted them. We used to go to the car boots. I've said this before. We used to go to the car boots and the toy dealers would leave them. My dad would say, leave the fake Nesbit knockoff He-Man. They're not worth anything. Get the official Masters of the Universe. They're the ones that's worth stuff. Whereas now, knockoff figures are the ones that's worth a shit ton more money. So I think that it's if it was a case of identifying what the next thing is that people are gonna wanna pick up and the thing that's going to be worth money and the thing that's going to be sought after, I would look at toys that don't get much love but are from the same era of something else that's popular and are almost not even something that's inspired by it, but something that could quite easily sit alongside it on the shelf. 90s toys for many years weren't worth anything. I remember like 10 years ago, like toy dealers laughing, going, oh, I can't believe people have been buying 90s toys and putting them in storage. They're never going to be worth anything. And now 90s toys have all skyrocketed up in price. Something like the Toxic Crusaders, the Biker Mice, stuff like that, they've all just gone up in price. The Biker Mice, not as much as the Toxic Crusaders, but they'll go up the same. Street Sharks, nobody wanted Street Sharks. Now, people want the Street Sharks and they're worth money again. So it's all about knowing what other toys came out at that time and what is cool. What is also cool, and most people just haven't clocked on yet to how cool it is. And then that's also where like the hype train thing comes from, because it only takes 2, 3, 5, 6, 7 people to start picking up a particular toy line, posting about it on Instagram, posting about it on their on Facebook groups especially, and then other people think, oh, what's that? I like, look at that, what is that? Oh, it's cyboars, it's Cowboys of Moo Mesa, something really obscure, and then all of a sudden, boom, they want it, they want that figure, and then the fucking prices just skyrocket. And something like Toxic Crusaders were a prime example of that, because I believe people were all over Playmates Ninja Turtles, because that's a classic line. They're all over the Playmates Ninja Turtles, and then they start buying them all, then they get into the mutants, and then they're like, oh, what's these other toys? Toxic Crusaders, they're so similar. What, they're made by Playmates? They was done by the same sculptors as them. They almost look like they came from the same toy line. Oh, I want a bit of that as well. What's these other figures? Earthworm Jim, they're also created by Playmates. What's these Skeleton Warriors? They're also created by Playmates. They all look like they could exist in the same line. I want all of it. And then other people are like, oh yeah, I want that, I want that, I want that. And then before you know it, everybody just wants that toy, and that's the one that skyrockets up. And it definitely sometimes is a reflection of, it's genuinely cool. I think sometimes when it comes to like some weird bootleg figures that skyrocket up in price, that is definitely, it must be a hype train, because there's some of these like weird Argentinian bootleg toys and they're interesting, they're very interesting, but some people will see them and say, oh my god, that weird fucking green bootleg Skeletor with fucking shitty paint chipping off its face, it's the coolest thing I've ever seen. It's really not though, is it? It's really not. But it's interesting, it's weird, it's different, and it only takes 1, 2, 3 people to start discussing it and throwing numbers about on a Facebook forum, and then all of a sudden everybody wants one and the prices skyrocket. One that I'm really surprised doesn't get like more attention is the 90s Action Man line. That is a line that came out in the 90s that everybody who grew up in that era had at least one. Even if it was a bashed up one that they got from the friend that was chewed up by their dog in their fucking garden. Like, everybody had one of those remake Action Man figures. Action Man, the greatest hero of them all. That Action Man, the one that was played by Trojan from Gladiators. That Action Man, everybody had them, yet they are a line that really nobody wants. You can get them super cheap. I was talking to my friend BA yesterday about toys, and he said, oh, I'd love to get some of those old Action Men, but I bet they're expensive. And I goes, dude, look at them on eBay. Like, they're not expensive at all. People walk past them at the car boot, they're not bothered. And I don't collect them just because, again, I can't collect everything, but I think they're fucking awesome. And I do really think that within the next 10 years, people's going to start clocking onto how cool they are, because they were a fucking dope toy. And once you've bought everything else, once you've had everything and you've gone through it all, then you want to start seeking out, well, what's the next best thing? I always think if I did a video of all figured out on Action Men, which I'm not opposed to doing because I like those old Action Men figures, if I came across a load of them in a box and they had all the weapons, I think I'd do an all figured out on them. And I think if I shot them really fucking cool, there'd be a couple people watching that video that think, yeah, do you know what, I'm going to get a couple of them. Wouldn't be surprised if a couple of people went on eBay after watching this and had a look how much they go for, how cheap they are, and how tempted they will be to add a couple of them to the collection. And then, as you know, it's a slippery slope, and it only takes a few people to start bidding them up on eBay, and then that's how much they're worth. So I hope that answered the question. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on this particular subject, because it's something that really does come up a lot, and it really is a thing. And there's so much stuff like the Dino Riders, for example. Before I wrap the video up, I'll talk about the Dino Riders. I always talk about this story, but about 10 years ago, my friend Redbeard offered me like a full run of Dino Riders for about 200 quid, like everything. There was like 9 boxed things with smaller stuff and all this kind of shit. And I turned it down at the time, not because I didn't want it, I just couldn't really afford it at the time. And I thought, it's about the right price for them, and if I ever wanted to get them, I'll get them back. And now, they're 200 quid each in the box, and I always regret not getting them. So there's stuff like those and Mighty Max and things that 10 years ago people really didn't care about, 7 years ago, 5 years ago, and then all of a sudden they do care about them. So just have a look at something that, and I fucking do this all the time, I'm kind of giving my secrets away. Have a look at a toy line that doesn't really get much love and people aren't that arsed about, and get it now while it's cheap. Get it now. There's toy lines that I'm looking at and I'm picking up at the minute and I'm collecting because I want them now before they go ridiculous and before they go stupid and before everybody wants to put them in fucking graded boxes and find sealed ones and charge you 400 quid for them. Get them now and enjoy them now before these dickheads get hold of them and try and sell them you for 6 times the price. I hope you enjoyed this episode today. As always, I want to hear your thoughts on the subject below. Let me know, and also let me know about any subjects you want to see me talk about in a future Toy Talk Tuesday episode. I'm Theo Kane, this is Slimehouse TV, and I will catch you in the next episode. Until then, I'm gone. But first of all, I'm just going to say, don't forget the Patreon. You can head over to patreon.com/Slimehouse TV, and for as little as $1 a month, you can become a slime renegade. And I'm really trying to push the Patreon this year and get as many Patreon supporters as possible so that I can do these videos a lot more often. I want to be bringing out, I'd love to bring out 2-3 videos a week. I want to film all the time, not just this forward-facing to camera kind of stuff. I want to be filming cool documentaries and cinematic stuff and really digging deep into retro toys and retro pop culture and all that cool shit. I just need the time to do it, and in order for me to have the time to do it, I need to step away from work a little bit and just do this more. So that's where the Patreon comes in. So head over to patreon.com/Slimehouse TV, and if you want to donate $1 a month, a $5 a month, a $10 a month, I really do appreciate it. It really does go a long way. In the meantime, I'm Theo Kane. I'm going to catch you in the next episode, and for now, I'm gone. Pow!